Hey, hey, Blue Table fans. I got a letter from Daniel, and he asks a question. What are your views on Games Workshop customer service, the way they are running their business, the way they treat fans, and their ridiculous prices? Well, it's a loaded question, obviously, because of the word ridiculous, but I'm certainly willing to speak to that. He goes on, he says, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind making a video stating your personal opinions on serious topics about Games Workshop and what they need to do. And let's see, many people don't start playing because of prices and so many things, and many things that the company themselves do. My gaming club itself would almost double in size if the prices were better. I believe Games Workshop needs a new direction and needs it fast. Then there's a final thing. It says also the effect that it will have on you. Oh, it says, so what are your thoughts on how the wargaming mini industry will do if Games Workshop doesn't make it? Also the effect that it will have on you, since I'm pretty sure the Games Workshop products make up most of your business. Wouldn't them failing make your business crumble? I don't know. I think this would be an interesting video. And this is really quite an amazing topic. So, yeah, and normally I really can't answer all the emails that I get with questions. However, quite frankly, I think that in an open market, and I have to say that it's pretty free market in the miniatures business. Like, there isn't a whole lot of government meddling there just yet. That really it's the people that buy the products that decide. They effectively vote with their wallets, and I think it's a high honor to have someone want to buy your product. It means that you're doing a good job. And as far as Games Workshop is concerned, you've got to, those of us that have been playing for, I guess, I don't know, 10 or more years, I almost said 20, but yeah, 20 could work too, is that Games Workshop has one thing that other companies have not had, and that's staying power. They have shown long-term dedication, and I think it's really paying off for them. And I don't think Games Workshop prices are too high, at least in the sense that they deserve them, because there's more to buying a model than just buying a model. Meaning, is the company going to follow up? Are they going to be in business a year? And I think right now people sense rightfully that Games Workshop really is going to be around for them in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And that's really paying off for them, as I said before. So, but I mean, if you look at like a Land Raider really is only like 50 cents worth of plastic. You know, there's a die that just hammers those out. Of course, there's a huge initial investment, but once you reach a critical mass where, you know, if they come out with a plastic kit, they're guaranteed to sell at least 10,000 of them. Well, then you've really got something going, and you can start making more and more plastic kits. But really, when you buy a Land Raider for $62, which is what they're up to now, it's probably only 50 cents worth of plastic. And and then the box probably costs more than the actual contents of the kit. And I'm basing that on just some very rudimentary research I did like 8 years ago when I was thinking of doing you know, my own miniatures. We had like an investor, and the whole thing just tanked, of course. But there was that. So anyway, and quite frankly, I say you go, Games Workshop. I think they're putting out great stuff month after month. Their kits just keep getting better and better, and they're reliable. You know, there's companies that are like my own that are kind of the ugly girlfriend of the retail business. That we may not be good looking, but we're there when you need us. Is that a terrible analogy? All right, so the other thing to consider is monetary policy of the country that you're in. People complain about rising prices, but I'll bet you none of those people know what the money supply is for their country. In other words, if your government has fiat currency, which is currency that has value only by decree, it's not backed by any commodity, as is the case in the U.S., they then, if the government prints more money, that means your money is effectively worth less. And right now in the United States, the Federal Reserve has stopped even keeping track of the total money supply. They say, in effect, if you go to the Federal Reserve site, they say that it's not a good use of their time to figure out what that is, which I read as, well, we don't want you to know what we're doing. And even if it wasn't that, I still think the American public has a right to know what's happening to our money supply. I won't go into too much more detail with that, but the fact is, in the U.S., our money supply is about to explode, and you're going to see prices. You're going to see prices go up. Of course, it doesn't mean the prices are going up. It just means that there's more money in circulation. And I certainly have a lot more ideas on that, and I'd suggest people seek out their own reading on the matter. And I think all citizens of any country should be very, very, very interested in monetary policy, because it affects everything. It's the blood plasma of a civilization. One book that I would recommend would be Meltdown by Thomas Wood, or is it Woods? I can't remember. That book is actually it says it's about the recent economic meltdown in the U.S., but it's actually a primer on how money works. And on my blog, I put up a lot of good videos referencing that subject, because you simply can't increase the money supply by 10% without robbing the value of the money from the people that have been careful and who have saved. This ties into fractional reserve banking as well. But getting back to the original topic, you really have to look at prices and consider the value of the currency. You really can't just blame Games Workshop. If they raise their prices by 10% a year, they're probably keeping pace with real inflation in their country. And I think that businesses or larger corporations would really be smart to take a look at those issues. So both of those answers to the, quote, Games Workshop ridiculous prices really do tie in to each other, which is Games Workshop is charging what very well may be appropriate for the market, justified by what their product is. And who decides if their product is worth that amount of money? It's whoever buys it. You really, I mean, that is the beauty of the free market. You walk into a store, you have cash in your pocket, and you choose what you want. Now, that said, I think that Games Workshop is to the point where they have so many fans, they have so many people that play their games, that it's really impossible to please them all. And that's definitely a sea change that I sensed during Games Workshop's evolution. They used to be kind of by hobbyists for hobbyists, and White Dwarf reflected that. They do lots of different games. They would put in scenarios, special rules, the old VDR rules, and now they're really catering to more of a generic system type of thing, where they're mainly supporting their core games. And you might think that's bad, and it's certainly not so hot that they left a lot of their other games by the wayside, but really it was obnoxious when it was happening. I was a retailer back in, I'm going to say, 96, and I remember when Epic came out, and they were just like, Epic, Epic forever, and they really pushed it, and they wanted us to carry it, and then just the bottom fell out. And quite frankly, I like what they're doing now. I like that they are putting out like Apocalypse. You don't have to buy new models for Apocalypse. You don't got to buy a lot. You just need the rule book, and it gives you a different way to play the game, and it all kind of ties in. Like, if Apocalypse fails, well, you're still doing good.